everyone. Hi, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to my stream. I am going to get started on this new project. It is now officially August. It's been a week into August already. And I'm going to be working on something that's a little bit out of season. It's a little bit preemptive in the season, but I really wanted to work on this project for the longest time. It's something that I kind of thought about, I think at the beginning of summer. So let me just check to see if everything looks okay, audio looks okay. Everything should be coming through, so if there's any problems with the stream, just let me know. But otherwise, yeah, today's gonna be the start of a new project, and as you can see, my overlay has changed a little bit. So there's a slightly new setup to celebrate this new endeavor, and hopefully everyone who tunes in will also enjoy kind of being part of this crafty project that I have planned out. So yeah, I'm going to start making my own haunted house. I've spent quite a lot of time these last few months like prepping for it, kind of to like get an idea of like what I wanted to do with this project. And I've accumulated some images and like reference materials to see what I can do. So it started with me buying this house right here. It's a little birdhouse. It's a stock birdhouse from the arts and crafts store Michael's, and it's just like a very generic house. And it's like one of those like painting projects where you can decorate it and paint it, and then I would guess you'd want to hang it outside or place it outside for birds. So I purchased it so that I could modify it and make it into my own. At the time, I didn't know if I wanted to make a haunted house when I bought it. It just kind of came, the idea kind of came to me a little bit later. I actually do have a smaller version of this as well, but I kind of want to work on a bigger piece and like kind of really stretch the limits of what I can do for crafting on this. So yeah, this is the house I'll be working on. It's probably going to require quite a lot of like changes. It's very like simple, which makes sense. And it's a very like well-built, structured house. But one of the things I want to add is like windows in the back, because it's like, since it's a birdhouse, it's like only got windows in the front, it's only got openings in the front. So I kind of just want to add more like openings in the back, maybe on the sides. We'll see how that goes. It might be a bit ambitious of me. I also don't love the fence. I think I'm gonna try and change the fence so that it's a little bit more like iron wrought and creepy, kind of like those metal like fences you see for like Gothic houses. And I feel like that would be more in line. This is kind of like a really nice white picket fence sort of look, and that's not the look we're going for. So yeah, that's the house. And then I have a bunch of like, I'm going to be designing it on Procreate today. So I have the images of the house already like, oh, I didn't erase that part, it's okay. The images of the house are here, side profiles, and then from like top down, and the front and the back. So that's kind of the setup I have for today. And then for my reference materials, here's what we're working with. So I spent some time like researching what kind of houses I wanted to kind of get the feel for. So these are some houses I've seen on Instagram, Pinterest. I've actually used Kara for some of these as well. Kara's been really helpful in getting reference material. So if you recognize an artist's work on here, I'm so sorry. This is just like what I used to reference, and I did not write down all the artists that were accredited for each image, unfortunately. So, but this is what I'll be working with. I really like this sort of vibe of this one a lot, because it's very like simple, I guess. It's mostly painted. It's very atmospheric because of how the lighting is, which gives it that sort of creepy look. And it's also like a well-kept house. Whereas a lot of the other pictures I have are like houses that are falling apart, they're decrepit, there's like a lot of overgrown stuff happening. This one I also love as well. This is very like messy. It's very, I kind of like a combination of this one and the first image. It's both very, very creepy. Sorry, my head is like covering most of these images. And then this is sort of like a traditional illustration, which I like as well. It's got all the spooky vibes. This is kind of like if I want to pan out from the house and kind of look at what I want to do outside of the house itself. And then obviously this one is also really, really good. It's got a different color scheme, which I love. Everything's been like warm tones, but this one is reflective of the first one, where it's kind of like a lot of cool tones, a lot of shadow, a lot of creepy trees, which I love as well. This is actually from the movie Robin Hood. I only included these images because it's got a graveyard, and I really want to include a graveyard with mine. And I'm obviously like, it's not going to be very church-like. This is clearly like a church or a monastery in Robin Hood, but I'm not gonna do that. So those are just like random pictures. This one I do know who it belongs to. It belongs to Reagan. This is Reagan's haunted house. This is their handle is right here, Rogonia, on Instagram, and they are a spooky artist, and I take a lot of inspiration from their spooky art, and I really love how Reagan designed this one out of just a few colors, and the little dude up here shadowed against the moon is really cool. So I have my own ideas of what I want to do, but I also would take inspiration from some of these images as well. This one is just a very simple house. In fact, I don't think this is even meant to be like a spooky image, but I do love this tree branch. This tree branch here is it holds my attention quite a lot. And sort of like the black and green theme of it is very spooky, and I do like that. It's got all of the Halloween colors. It's got green, it's got black, it's got orange. And then I'm going to pan out and show you all a reference for sculpting. So these are a couple of sculptures. This one, this first image here of the house, that one belongs to Radley Relics on Instagram. They do a lot of like haunted models from like say Disney World, like they've done models at the Haunted Mansion, and they've also done some work like Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak. So they do a lot of like diorama sculpture art around like pop culture horror themes, which is really, really cool. I like follow them. I started following them and started like religiously like saving each image because their sculpture work is so amazing. And then this is just like a random picture of a real house, but it kind of had the vibe of like what I was going for. It's like it's got the iron wrought fence here. It's got like a very it's got fencing on the roofing itself. Like look at all of this metal roofing at the top, or sorry, the metal like work on top of the roof. And then it's got these like arched windows, which I also love. I'm probably going to demolish the windows on this model house I have and maybe try to do some version of a Gothic window. And then they've got this sort of like open patio in the front. It looks like a really nice house. Honestly, it's really just looks creepy because it's shot and probably like edited to look really dark. It's probably a really beautiful house in real life. And then these are some like sculpture references that I also saved. I saved this one because I thought it was a lot of fun. It's got like a really wonky looking taxi or a car in the back here, which I love. It's very like Tim Burton-y looking. It's got Beetlejuice energy. It's got like very warped architecture, which I really love. I could see this being a house in like Coraline or something. So the mood of it is really nice, but I don't know if I will follow this exactly. This though is more like what I was planning in my head. Like it's very ramshackle. It's got creepy little like Easter eggs in the corners and the windows. It's got a lot of like curtains that look like ghosts like coming out, and it's very, very like, I don't know, it's just, this I think is more in line with what I was thinking. And then I also included some sculpture references that had like monastery, sort of like dilapidated churches, because I do want to include a stone section of the house as well. So whether it's stone or brick, I kind of want to build up a section of the house where it has this sort of look to it, where it's a little bit ivy and overgrown. Stained glass windows would be super cool, but I think that's a little bit ambitious for this project. And then I've got some more references. These are all like people who work with like clay, and they create a lot of really beautiful sculptures out of like brickwork and stonework. And then this is just like a reference to like how maybe the side of the house could look, where the wallpaper or the wall is peeling off. That could be really cool. And then the rest of the reference images I have are just kind of like vibes. Like vibes for what I want to do with the house, and not really references to the exact house itself. For instance, this whole section is graveyards. I do want to include a graveyard. I do want to include trees. It's got a lot of like overgrown weeds, trees that are dying. This is very simple and I love how it looks. And let's see. And this is also like a really nice little tiny graveyard, and it's got grass. This is the sort of like iron wrought fencing that I was thinking of. I'll have to think about how I want to make this. I could make it out of real wire, or I could make it out of like clay and paint it in a way that makes it look like wire. This is like a mausoleum with like graveyard entrance. So these are all like vibes, the vibes of what I want. And then down here are more vibes. like I don't think I'm gonna go with this. I just really liked how the colors looked. The very like purple green tones of like Halloween, but it's very swampy. I'm not really going for like a sort of swampy vibe. This is also very creepy, and these are all just like really dark woods. These are just trying to like get me into the idea of like atmospherically what I want to do. These are like almost the same image. It's like a big giant crescent moon. I think it might even be the same artist. I forget who it is. Okay, and then finally, sort of the supernatural aspect of what I want to do is down here. There's like shadowy figures. The entire bottom section of my reference photos are actually from, what's that one called? It's from it's from the original Fantasia, and it was it Under the Shadow of Witch Mountain or something? I forget the title exactly, but it's the creepy one. It's the one where he like, a big gargoyle demon like erupts out of a volcano / mountain, and he's like celebrating, I think, Hallows Eve, and all of the spirits come out and like, I don't know, do spirity things. But I really remember as a kid being really creeped out by that and really enjoying it. So that's kind of all the references at the bottom. I also really love how the ghosts look. Very, very like phantomy, very, very like wispy looking, and that's kind of like what I want to do with some of the supernatural stuff I want to do with this house. Is I want to include a lot of like wispy looking ghosts. So up here are like more like high definition art pieces of like different spooky things happening, like this one for instance. Ooh. And there's like a lot of like really creepy, I'm pretty sure some of these might be storyboard images for the actual Fantasia maybe, but I can't remember which one's which. But yeah, sort of like this really like the idea of something just like kind of looking back at you. When you look at haunted houses, some of the scary things that you can think of is like you're looking at something that's supposed to be empty, but there's like multiple things maybe like looking back at you that you don't really know. So I kind of wanted to create that moment in this sculpture. And then these are like my favorite ghosts from the Fantasia scene. It's just like the idea of like them looking a little bit ring wraithy, but they have skeletal hands. Because like when you think of ghosts, you just think like a sheet with eyes, but they don't have eyes. They have like just like, it looks like a hooded robe, like they died in a robe or something. Like this is kind of like a person with that sort of vibe going on, which I also saved. And then these are very good. I thought these have sort of the facial structure, the skull visible underneath, and everything else is very like, it's very dainty, like it's very wispy and very like gentle looking and very transparent looking, but yeah, so these are all just like vibey sort of references that I saved, if just so that we're all kind of like on the same page of like what I was planning and what I was hoping to do. I think out of all of these, this house, this one right here, I might take inspiration from the most. And then also looking at sort of this one, both of these houses have like a very like wooden base to it. But I do want like a small section of the house to also have this sort of brickwork as well. So that's gonna be present. So I'm just gonna have these like on standby next to me as I'm referencing and drawing. I would absolutely welcome any sort of additional ideas that come from chat as well. So feel free to like add chat messages, add VOD comments afterwards to like give me sort of ideas that you think I should implement, because I already have like sort of an idea, a rough idea of what I want to do, but I am totally open to like interpretation, as well as anyone else who's like designed their own haunted houses or have like sketched out their own versions of haunted houses. That would be really cool to like hear what other people have experience in as well, so that would be really fun. But yeah, so I'm going to get started on working on this. I'm just going to erase this because it's going to bother me. It's my stupid sense of detailing. There we go, it's gone. Oh wait, no. There we go. I just zoom. Sometimes like you just see pixels and then you zoom out and then you realize, oh, that's like a whole image that I didn't realize. I think everything else has been trimmed out. Okay, all right. So just to give a further sense of what I want to do, this is the house that I'll be working with. This is the full house. But I want to include a graveyard and I want to include some trees, which means that I'll have to probably build up the base of this. So I want to add like cardboard to the bottom, and I also kind of want it to be like on a hill. So I'll start kind of drawing out what I mean so that everyone is kind of getting an idea, so that they're not like, what the hell is she talking about? Okay, so I was thinking that house would kind of like sit on this sort of cardboard build up here. Sorry. Oh, I should have just, you know what? Move that layer underneath. Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking like I would have like a sort of a cardboard, like multi-stacked cardboard, maybe like 5 to 8 cardboard stacks together, glue them, and then sort of create like a terrain around the house. So this would be like a very high sort of steep slope here, and then this will be more of a gradual sort of decline or descent, and then it kind of goes around like this. So like I'm thinking like 8 to 10 cardboard pieces, sorry, 8 to 10, 5 to 8 5 to 8 cardboard stacked together and made into this sort of like terrain around the house. Today is also going to be like the design. Part 1 today is, I called it part 1 on the thumbnail because today I want to design it, which means doing this on Procreate, looking at references, and just sort of generating ideas. And then starting next week, hopefully, if I get all my sort of planning done, is to start actually making it on stream. So I'll actually be doing the physical crafting of it and not just like, you know, ideating, creating ideas, ideation. I don't know what the technical word for it is, but yeah, so I was thinking like I would have it built up. So it's not just like the house itself, it's like the entire like it's like the entire terrain has been added to give the house sort of this existing platform. This brown is too nice and cheerful. I should have chosen like a more... Well, now it's like hard to see. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so this might expand depending on what I want to do. Okay. Yeah, so like a very like gradual sloping section on one side and sort of like a high steeper section on the other side. Okay. Just gonna lower the opacity of these because I don't want it to be so glaringly yellow and white. Okay, and then in terms of like houses, sorry, trees. So I also saved these like reference photos of like really creepy looking trees. You can see that the terrain here is kind of built up the same way. I really like how this terrain buildup looks here. So I don't know if mine will exactly look like that, but I do like how the tree's sort of like growing out of the side of it almost. So like sort of like a deep rooted oak would be really cool. So like a big creepy like wooden tree would be really fun. Like kind of just like hanging out here on the side of the house. I'm not going to put like some of the creepy trees I've seen references for have like faces in them and stuff, or they have expressions. I'm just going to go for a creepy tree. I don't think I'm going to make it look like it's haunted. I mean, it's gonna look like it's haunted, but not like in a way where you see a face in it or something. For anyone joining in being like, why is this person already drawing Halloween themed stuff? It's because I am a big fan of autumn, and I love autumn, and I love Halloween, and I love this whole like autumnal season, and I'm just like manifesting that energy right now into so that I can just like celebrate early and not have to deal with the heat and humidity anymore. It's very hard to like plan out in 3D when you're drawing everything in 2D, because I've been doing a lot more sculpture work lately, and it's like trying to visualize something that you've been planning in 2D onto a 3D form is like is very, very tricky. Okay, so kind of like a rough sketch of a tree on the side here, and then maybe I'll do like another tree over here. It won't be as like big and elaborate, but I would like to have like a secondary tree kind of just hanging out here. That would be cool. Just like a little rough sketch. And then, all right, so looking at the house itself, let's see. I don't like these windows. The windows are gonna go. So let's let's start demolishing things. So yeah, so like these like sort of like Gothic arch windows are kind of the vibe. So I might rip off these frames, these really thin frames, and I might just like put, oh, sorry. I might just like put my own like thin sort of arched windows here. And I might use like orange cellophane to kind of cover up the inside. This is like getting into really ambitious sort of territory, but like if I could get somehow like some sort of light on the inside, that would also be really cool. Whether it's like tea lights or some sort of like electrical wire thing. Something safe. So yeah, like a Gothic sort of, ooh, this is tricky because there's like a panel here. So I might not be able to do something that high. So let me see if I can get like that. It might just end up being the same size as these actual existing windows, just like a little bit peaked at the top and not so. Okay, so it's kind of like and then let's see, what can I do with this like top window? I could also do the same thing where I kind of like maybe cut out some of it. Cut out the edges a little bit and then also make that into more of an arch. You know what reference photos I should have gotten as well? I should have gotten it from that TV show, Haunting on Hill House. That was like one of the very few like horror TV shows that I could watch, which I don't know if that means it's like necessarily scary. But I also don't want to like tell people like, hey, it's not a scary show, and then they watch it and they're like, this is freaking terrifying. But I'm a huge scaredy cat, and it's really rare for me to like able to watch something horror themed and like endure it, I guess. But Hunting on Hill House, that's definitely haunted house energy. All right, we're just doing a very, very rough sort of planning of this. Okay, so I do like the arched windows. The door might be a little bit... The door is tricky. How should I handle the door? I'm trying to like look at all these other images of what their doors look like. Everyone's door is closed, first of all. Whereas this door is so open. I might have to make a makeshift door then. All right, let's just block it off and see how it goes from there. Like I mentioned, I really don't like the white sort of picket fence thing that's going for, so I'm gonna I'm gonna do my own version of like a black iron rod fence. Alright, let's look at some fences. So I really like sort of the gothic detailing on this one. Let's see. So the idea of there being like a bunch of really sharp sort of arrowhead, pointy sort of energy. I'm probably gonna get rid of the existing fence, remove that. And it's also going to look a little bit more decrepit as well, not like as like neat and tidy as I'm drawing it. I also want the fencing to go like all the way around the house. This fencing on the stock fencing on this is like it only like goes around the house partially. Whereas I want the fence to go all the way around the house if possible. And then let's have there's like a really nice fence in Animal Crossing that I've been using. It's like the spooky fence. It's the spooky fence that I think you get as like a Halloween recipe, and I've been using that like all over my island. Okay, and then let's see. I also want to include steps going down, so let's take a look at that for a moment. So I like the idea of there being like stone, sort of like a stone step. Stone steps going down. So gonna look real crummy for a second. So remember that the terrain that I have for it is it's like a sloping hill, so I was hoping to like maybe include like a path a little bit. A very overgrown path with like weeds and stuff. And then on the way I want there to be fencing, but maybe not so like as like upheld, I guess. So like kind of like falling apart a little bit more noticeably. Like there's areas where rambunctious neighborhood kids can sneak in through. And then like it like kind of goes up this hill maybe. Okay. And then one on the bottom here. And then I think I also want the fencing to extend back here as well. Back here it's like really falling apart. I might not even include it like where this tree is, because I want the idea of maybe like the tree kind of like damaged the fence a little bit and it's kind of like overgrowing on top of it. And then I just want it on one side and like have it maybe like come up on this side as well, but like barely. Alright, and then just gonna flesh out these stones a little bit. And the thing is, I don't want it to be like all just brown and black. I do want there to be green, but not like bright green. I would like it if it was like sort of like a weedy patch of like grass here and there. So like just like kind of giving a rough, it looks like it snowed. That's alright. And then there's gonna be like tombstones and things here and there. Let's see. So let's look at the chimney. So the chimney is very standard. So let's kind of create a sort of a decrepit looking chimney. Wow, this brown doesn't really show. Let's see. I'm wondering if maybe I would like to do a brick chimney. Sort of like a falling, worn out brick style chimney. Let's see. And add like a little bit of curve to it, give it a little bit of a wonky shape. You know what? I've decided I'm going to just sketch everything out in like a very light orange. That will keep it in theme with it being a very of it being a haunted house. And also like bright enough that I can like see the changes I want to make. Yeah, I don't know if I want to make this brick or if I want to make this stone yet. Okay. And then shingles for the roof. So the shingles are going to be like sort of falling apart. They're going to have this arched look to them. Like that. Let me check something real quick. Sorry, doing a quick YouTube check. Alright, there we go. So like not a thatched roof, shingled roof, but like in a way where it's kind of like falling apart. The shingles aren't all neat and stuff. It's hard to tell from a front on view, but like if I were to do it from like here, for instance, then it would be kind of like very messily like put together sort of shingles, either because they were put on the wrong way or they were like, it's been so old and abandoned for so long that everything is just falling apart in a way. So not so like neat, and also they're warping. I also don't love this like big open gap here, so I might like build a false wall here. Yeah, I might build a false wall and build up this section. Like that. And then maybe I can have a little balcony here. So like a little fence here as well. Perhaps. Like that. And then, okay, so for these Gothic windows, let's see. These are very like fancy. They look like almost like a stained glass window falling apart. Whereas I think I'm gonna go for more of like a traditional arch. Like that. It's also like also getting rid of this like little bird. If you can see it from the side here, it's got like a little bird perch. I think I'll be getting rid of that. Yeah, houses are pretty weird in that like they will look very like they've got a face almost. Like the really creepy ones, they look like they've got like a face on them. I think I might keep that window round just to keep some variety in like what the houses look like or what the windows look like. I might also get rid of this like platform here. That'll give me a little bit more window room, and it'll also like kind of show the window more. I didn't like how much it covered the top side of this window. Alright, and then I forgot there's a little balcony, sort of like a false balcony here, so maybe I can like add another one. Like this. Another like iron wrought sort of fencing. Okay. It's starting to look more and more like a haunted house. The colors are like all over the place, which is kind of why it looks a little bizarre. Okay, and then here's sort of what I was thinking for the supernatural element. So I know I want to include some ghosts, so what I wanted to do was have some ghosts coming out through the windows. So not just like figures in the windows, but like have actual ghosts like coming out of them. And it will require quite a lot of like fiddling with fabric and wire work. So we shall see. Trying to figure out like which windows would work best. Maybe this one would be one. I'm gonna lower the opacity just so they're a bit more like translucent looking. That would imply that this first window might have to be broken. And then let's sort of like created the idea of like an indentation where the sort of hooded aspect of this is. That's sort of like a rough idea of what I was kind of imagining in my head, and then maybe like another one up here on the topmost window. This house has a lot going on. It's got like creepy trees, it's got a graveyard, it's got ghosts coming out. But like I said, everything is flexible. It's kind of just all just like, okay, what kind of... I'm like mostly going by like what kind of atmosphere I want the house to have. This is also like an opportunity for me to work on more of my like crafting sort of skills. So that's why I'm kind of going a little bit more intricate. This will be sort of like a test of my own ability to see if I can sort of pull off sculpturally what I want, what I sort of imagined in my head. Alright, so I'm looking at this like side balcony here, and I'm thinking instead of keeping it as a balcony, I might actually add another sort of like tower here. Nothing too ostentatious, but like enough to make it look, I don't know, just like the house just looks so strange to me. And I know it's because it's for birds to land on and like eat things and have places to stand. But I think if I add more stuff to it, it'll look a little bit more like sort of the house that I imagine in my head. Yeah, that tower needs a little bit of work, but it just kind of gives me an idea of like structurally how the house is going to look to me. Let's see. There's also these like pillars in the front that kind of shadow off this like front area here where the door is. Maybe like some ornate sort of like ornate columns maybe here. Definitely gonna include that. So like a little bit of like Gothic style columns. So it's not just like a flat wall. Okay, I'm going to use a different pencil to start sort of marking the fine details of everything. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let me just see kind of visually how the side panels for a lot of these haunted houses look. There's the brick side, which I really do want to include. A lot of them seem to have like these wooden side panels, which is very atmospheric for a haunted house. I mean, it makes sense to have wood because it looks like it's like falling apart. A little bit better than like stonework or brickwork. But I do love how bricky, stony this house looks. Stony, that's a word. Okay, so let's see if maybe... I'm thinking maybe the side of the house here. This is going to be the... Why am I blanking? I guess it's because it's like face sidewise. It's going to be this side of the house, so if I'm holding this up, this side of the house. On the house's face side, it's the left side, but if I'm looking at it, it's the right side, so I think that was like throwing me for a loop. On that side, I'm thinking maybe I can have sort of like a brick look slash stonework area here. I'm debating whether I should do the whole wall in stone or part of it. Because I also love the idea of like doing sort of like ivy or something on the sides as well. Sort of a brown ivy. I want the bottom part of the building to have a lot of stone work. The trick will be trying to make it look crumbly and then maybe have it like start to go, as you go up, it starts to like break away parts of the stone. It's like here and there, the stonework starts to like look a little less uniform, and a lot more kind of like it's falling apart. So like a random here and there sort of look to it. But this entire like bottom section is still holding, it's sort of like the foundation of it, so it's like still holding it together. And I sort of like how it will create this sort of pseudo 3D effect to the house itself, which would be really cool. But yeah, it's as it starts to go up here, it's like starting to fall apart. The bricks get smaller, or like the stone gets smaller, whichever one I plan on doing. And then having the ivy sort of grow on it. Would be cool. So if like there's ivy coming up from like the ground here next to it, and then sort of moving its way up. This is a very, very light green. Oh, is that why it looks so... Oh, it's because I had lowered the opacity of this one specific layer. There we go. I was like, why is this so light? No matter what I did, it wouldn't show up. It's because the opacity of that layer is lowered. So like the ivy sort of like gets more aggressive as it gets to the top. So like the bottom is rooted in a lot of ivy that's kind of meandering through the brickwork, and then as it gets up top, it starts to like expand more. I gotta remember, the layer with the ghosts is a lowered opacity layer. I actually really like this idea of one of the side parts of the house looking like it's overgrown with ivy, and then just like I'm making it look very like bountiful and like there's a lot of grass and greenery, but no, this is like dead leaves. Imagine every leaf I'm drawing is like a leaf that's like dying. It's getting all brown and crumbly. So kind of like the idea I was going for with this whole project was, I think I've mentioned at my previous live stream, I actually got into a convention that's sort of a horror themed con, which I'm very, very excited for. It is happening in November, which means like the Halloween spirit has ended. But I think it's for like people who kind of like celebrating Halloween / horror stuff. And they want to continue it into November, which is sort of the vibe that I enjoy as well. It's like Halloween is like the entirety of fall and winter for me. So the idea I was having for this project was that I would do a lot of sort of Halloween themed art, mostly because I do enjoy that as my current sort of projects. But for this Halloween house, I was thinking I would actually make it on stream, and then also do some of the work off stream as well, but most of it on stream with all of you, and then to create the house. And if it looks like, I think I would like to sell it. Like I would like to like make something out of my own two hands and sell it as an original. So I would like to like maybe, like if this looks kind of, I don't know, I have very high standards for my work. So if it doesn't look the way that I want it to, or it doesn't look sellable, I guess, to my standard, I will have a lot of difficulty like selling things. But if it does look like the way I want it to, and it's like something that a clientele would be interested in buying as sort of an original piece. Obviously sculpture pieces go for like a lot. Originals tend to go for a lot, but like if you compare like a painted original with like a sculpted original, I think the price points do tend to like deviate from each other quite a bit, because sculpting just requires so much effort and work to work in 3D like that with so much material. And seeing as how expensive original paintings can be, then sculpture work can really, really get up there. So it would depend on like how much work is going into this project as well, will factor in. And if there's like a high level of detail to it, then obviously that will also make it a bit more expensive. But I would like to like, I don't know, dip my toes into the idea of selling originals, which is something that I never really considered before. And since so much of my work is like gonna be sort of this like 3D sculpted sort of part of my portfolio, then I would like to start maybe like doing more of that, sort of like doing more like original work that is catered to maybe collectors and people who like to collect sort of original work and things of a certain theme. Actually, that side of the wall looks amazing. I think I might keep this sort of look to it. Yeah, this sort of like brick and ivy overgrown section. That's all crumbly and mossy would be amazing. Yeah, that looks great actually. That part of the wall looks like it'll work out better. Alright, let's go back to the front of the house. The front of the house looks almost comedic in difference. So let's do a little something something. So the idea of like maybe doing like more original style work that I can sell, but not just originals, but also like selling prints of originals. So like if I'm doing sculpted work, I would like to create prints of that work and sell it at a more, obviously much more affordable price point. So that's kind of like the idea I have for this project moving forward. Not just like making it on stream and then have it be like the end, but to like make it accessible to someone who would maybe like to purchase it or like create sort of a bit more of a business plan around it. All right, let's see what I can do with the front of the house. These vertical lines kind of throw me off, but I think I'm gonna go with like a lot of like boarding. A lot of boarded woodwork. So like it's all kind of scritchy scratchy. I'm wondering if maybe I should also extend that brickwork up onto the side here. Something to think about. Yeah, it's because the vertical lines of the house are kind of throwing off how it looks. Alright, so shingles on the roof, sort of a fence here for like this balcony area. And then a sort of like a strange tower or tower-esque extension. This seems a little bit too like tall and witchy. It doesn't really fit the vibe of the house. So I'm wondering if maybe like having something like this that's still like kind of house looking, I guess. I think I gotta work on that a little bit more, but sort of like an extension of the house. Like that. Maybe like a weird looking window, I don't know. I don't know if I want to include another window. There's so many windows in the front already. I'll have to think about that. And then obviously the chimney. Some chimneys have that weird like metal thing on top. I think it looks like Looks like kind of like this. And then I think I might make this also brick as well. And like I designed earlier with up here, it looks a little kind of warped. I think I would like to include that sort of aspect to it. So like sort of a warped out, where it's like kind of fatter on the bottom. And then, let's see. I've like got like half a mind to board up this window, this like round window in the middle. That or make it smaller. Let's see what it would look like if it were smaller. Oh, the opacity is low on this one. That's why it looks off. There we go. Maybe if I make the window smaller. I think I might make this window smaller. I think it's just too big. It looks off. I know it's because of the birds, but I think I can afford to make it. Yeah, it looks way better now that it's like smaller. Yeah, I think I'll keep it like that. And then let's have sort of like a standard sort of cross closure here. There we go, like that. And then let's do so the shingles on the house are being included again here. The shingles are falling apart. Because like, I feel like designing this is going to create a house that has a lot of character to it. And I just need to find a way to represent that character in a way that's like true to the Halloween-y spirit. Alright, let's think about this door. First of all, let's make the door black. Let's make the door black. Let's have a little handle here, just for form's sake, and then let's have like a door knocker. I'm actually going to see if maybe I can, maybe it'll have a black border like this that looks like metal, and then sort of these like mismatched panels of wood, and a little handle here, and then I don't know if I want to include a door knocker. That looks excessive. It looks like there's too much going on. And then there's going to be this sort of gothic-y, like pillars almost. Like if we're looking at this reference photo, they've got sort of like an archway almost in the front. So maybe we can also like incorporate a little bit of that where it's like detailed here like this. Is anyone else like already in the in the sort of like Halloween-y spirit? Because I'm definitely celebrating a bit early, but that's okay, it just means that I get to celebrate it for longer. This is going to require quite a lot of remodeling of the original house. I mean, yeah, I'm like adding a lot of stuff. I'm also taking away some things as well, so it might require me to like actually like take this apart. Oh, I just realized this door doesn't go all the way down to the floor. Oh, okay. Let's see. Alright, so I definitely am going to need to extend this all the way down. So I'm going to have to cut away at the wood here. No wonder it looked a little off to me. I was like, why does this look so strange? Because the frickin' flippin' door was the same size as the window. There we go. Alright, there we go. That looks like a normal sized door now. Let's see. I'm kind of liking how the front of the house is starting to look. Yeah, the side is going to be a lot of fun with all that moss and like brickwork going on. That's going to extend to, I'm thinking maybe like some of the shingles here are going to have like some of the moss and like ivy peeking through. Intertwining with the metalwork here. Okay. There. That looks fun. That looks like there's some stuff going on that could be very haunted looking, like with the dying ivy on the side, sort of the big black door. Let me see. Yeah, there's like these false porches, or like they're not false porches, they're porches. Like a lot of these haunted looking houses have these porches in the front. This is a very well-maintained haunted house, by the way. I'm looking at this sculpture reference right here, and it looks very like... It looks like a very well-maintained house. I mean, it's crumbly a little bit here, but otherwise, it looks great. They did the one window that's lit up, which is very spooky. Thinking maybe also I could do an arched thing here, and then the metal fencing is still there. Yeah, I didn't like the idea of this balcony being in the front, so maybe I'll get rid of that. And then these are going to become arched windows. So arched windows here. Yeah, I think the more I think about it, having the ivy on that side of the house makes sense, because if I look out at, if I zoom out and look at this sort of overall picture of the house, there's a lot more going on my left side of the house here, with the big tree, the graveyard, the way that there's more land on that side. So maybe that side of the house could be a little bit more toned down, whereas the right side of the house will have all that ivy and stonework and crumbly bits and pieces, but there's a smaller tree to block it as well, to see all that work go into it. So yeah, I think that might make sense to do it that way. I have my music playing from YouTube, and does anyone else find it incredibly annoying when you're playing like a long playlist, like those like multiple hour playlists of like just lo-fi music, of things like white noise and like music in the background, and then YouTube just stops the video and asks, are you still watching it? And I'm like, yes, that's kind of the point of this. It plays in the background. Because I'm doing other stuff that's time consuming, like chores or projects that take a lot of mental energy. Or I'm like not even in the room, I'm like in another room, and then suddenly I hear the music stop and I'm like, oh, and then you have to go back into the room and tell YouTube, yes, I am still watching this. That's like a problem for people who like listen to long stretches of music without really doing anything on the computer. So I do that a lot when I'm like doing stuff around the house. Okay, so sort of larger windows that are more arch shaped, and then I'm thinking like, yeah, they will have these panels on the sides that'll go like this. Make it a little bit more Gothic looking. I think maybe I need to look up reference photos for more Gothic architecture as well, and see how the arch windows for Gothic architecture tend to look. There's also this reference photo of like the masonry involved. Is it too much to have 3 arched windows in the front of the house? Yeah, the more I design this, the more fun it would be if we could get light inside the house as well. That would also make a really fun print if I could get light to come out of the windows ominously, and then that'll create sort of a more atmospheric sort of photo. Okay, and then I think for the frame, I think maybe something like that. Not entirely sold on it. Kind of looks like they're almost boarded up, but they're not. I don't know if that's confusing. I really need to work on this like side of the house. See what I want to do with this like extension of the house here. Zooming out a little bit just to see how everything kind of looks cohesively. Yeah, this top section was mostly just to get an idea of what I wanted to do with the terrain of the house. And I really do like how the slope of the ground looks, the way the fencing is going to work its way around the house as well. But obviously like the colors are all over the place. It's kind of like disjointed. This makes me think more of like how the final piece will actually look. So let's look a little bit more at those like iron wrought fences. I feel like I mispronounce that word every time I say iron wrought. This graveyard has more of like a wooden fence that's falling apart. I do like the simplicity of this one. It's got stone pillars and they've got like some metal fencing going around it. I love this one though because it's got so much like detailing. It's got like sticks and twigs and hay just kind of like filtering through. Kind of like that whole overgrown aspect. I do think a staple of the sort of haunted fence does have the arrow tip tops of the fence. Like that. And it's going to go all the way around the house. Some of it's going to be bent. I'm just not doing that right now. And then it's going to have, I think I like the idea of it having these sort of arched sort of design to it, connecting them. And then the bottom is going to be sort of straight. Alright, so yeah, that will require me to like get rid of the existing fence, get rid of the existing picket fence, and then also just to like build up this sort of barbed sort of look to it. And then obviously going back to my favorite thing, which is to include a bunch of dead ivy, sort of like encircling the fence would be also pretty cool. And it would make sense because that side of the house just has a ton of it climbing the walls anyway. Okay, and then I would also, this is gonna have sort of like a stone base to the steps here. The stones are going to kind of come off of the side, and then they're going to taper off at the bottom of the terrain. Like that. Kind of that similar vibe. And then they also have this like weird arch, sort of like incline here. So I figure maybe I also include maybe some like, I don't know, is it too much to include like a little bit of like iron fencing that will go down this incline with the steps? I don't know, I included it just in case. And then the house has to have a door frame. Door frame, and then also I think having the paneling on the side just makes sense. Okay, that's kind of close. It's really hard to kind of to evoke that sort of spooky feeling without showing how decrepit the house is, and I feel like my drawings are obviously meant to indicate how the style is going to look, but not like how run down and how falling apart it actually is, because it's very hard to sort of illustrate that into my first designs. So until you see it on like the finished product, it's kind of hard to like depict like, yeah, the stonework here looks gorgeous, but like it's like falling apart, it's crumbly, it's got a lot of messiness to it, like how the stonework here is sort of falling apart, like how well like rounded out the stone is from just years of wear and tear, and then just all this like random rubble at the bottom, and like how the stained glass window is like broken and the moss and the leaves are growing in, but they're all like kind of a dirty color, and they're not very like bright and vibrant. So I think that's kind of like the same vibe here, is that like I'm drawing out how the house will be changed, but I'm not really including all the details that make it look like it's like run down and like falling apart as well. So it just makes it look like it's a nice house. All right, I think I'm like looking at this house to try and see if maybe I can figure out what to do with this this section here, this like side of the house here. They've got like a whole tower, which makes sense. I don't really have that. This house also has like sort of a huge tower on the side, so it's like two narrow houses like combined into one. This is an interesting house design here. They've got like a main house with one chimney, and then they've got like another side house with another chimney, which is pretty cool. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should try, let's see. Maybe instead of having the roof so high up, maybe I'll have it down here. I'll have it down here, and then I'll have have it straight and then have it peak a little bit. And then the shingles themselves are like this. So that'll create some difference in perspective to the house, which I think it desperately needs. I think everything in the front is like too flat. And the roof, like the roofing itself is like too one-dimensional. It's like going off on either side and that's it. So to have maybe like the shingles on this like side build-up of the house and exposing that side might actually create some three-dimensionality to it. That would be nice. I'm wondering if like this little tower here would look good. A weather vane might be fun as well. Weather vane there, and then maybe like the house would go like that, and then it would go sort of tower-esque, I want to say. I don't know. Maybe have it like, maybe have the roof extend out a little bit further. Like that. And then extend this platform out a little bit more. I don't know, does that look better? Does that look... Does that look like something that would feasibly look okay with this sort of house? It looks a bit better. It looked better than the other design I had. Okay, I think the house itself is going to be a lot of work. And then on top of that, I'm adding more work by having all this other stuff. So I'm going to write some notes to myself. Alright, so we're going to have 2 trees. We're going to have a lot of metal work. We're going to have gravestones. We're going to have like moss, dirt, and dying ivy. We're going to have stone or brickwork. I'm just writing all the stuff that we're going to add onto it, and then I'm also going to write the stuff that we're going to subtract, which is also going to be work. So we're going to remove window panes. We're going to extend the balcony. we're going to remove picket fence. We're going to add terrain. Add terrain slash grounds. The last part of this will be the ghosts. So the ghosts are going to be at the end. Phantom figures is what I'll write. This is also just to help me mentally prepare like what kind of materials I'll need. So like what kind of clay, how to do the fencing for the metal stuff. I might need to buy like fake grass and moss and things, and then also how to do the ivy. So like this just gives me like a mental perspective of like what I should prep ahead of time for when I stream the making of this. I mean, I think that pretty much like covers like 90% of what I wanted to cover. I do have every aspect of the house, but that's just for me to like draw and reference if I run into any trouble. I don't think I need to extensively plan out every single side of the house as of yet. Oh, that's another thing. I need to make circle window smaller. Okay. What else do I need to do? I think maybe lighting. That's like a maybe at the end. Lighting. Whoa. Inside. Creepy lighting. Alright, I'm just gonna zoom in on this house just to give you guys an idea of what I was thinking, but if there's any other like input on how to make a house creepier, how to make it look scarier, it would be much appreciated, because I think this is generally the direction I would like to go in. And so far it looks a lot better than when I first started sketching out what I wanted to do. I think it makes sense to have those 3 windows in the front be arched. I really am glad that I made that round window smaller. It was just like so obnoxiously big, and it was throwing off the whole perspective of the piece. And then I really do like the idea of ivy only growing on one side of the house. Having a crooked chimney is also really fun. And then obviously like the side of the house that was just like an extended balcony, having that removed and like building up a second part of the house would also be like, I don't know, just additional ramshackle that's been added, that makes the house just a little bit more like unkempt and like not architecturally sound. What else? I think that's it. I think today's stream is going to be a short one, because at this point it's just building the darn thing. It's just making the thing that'll be the true work. But yeah, I think today's just going to be a little short stream on planning out what to do with the house, because I'm going to have to do a lot of like back work. So for instance, I'll try to do as much of the like boring work off stream as possible. So like things where I would have to remove pieces, glue down cardboard, things like that, I think, and shaping it out to terrain. I think those are going to require like a lot more work off stream, and then I'll try to save sort of like the fun, like anything that requires painting, adding grass, adding like really small details. I'll try to save those aspects of the stream, of the project, to the stream instead, so that you guys get to see kind of like the more fun stuff. But otherwise, it's probably just going to be like a lot of crafting and a lot of chatting for the next 2 months, and this project's going to go throughout August and September, because this is a very large project. It's going to require a lot of work and detailing, and I just don't see it being something that I'll finish within the next month if I'm doing most of the work on stream. So yeah, I think I'll save it until then. But otherwise, yeah, I think if you're a subscriber, I might put up a poll soon of maybe possibly changing my stream time, so keep an eye out for that, because I might change my time to a different day or a different hour. So just I would like to just, you know, get a vote on like what people think. If you like this project and you have input, like I would seriously love to have any sort of input from anyone who's also like a very spooky or Halloween loving artist. So if you want to add a comment to the VOD, or if you want to message me on Discord, that would be a lot of fun and be much appreciated. But otherwise, I'll just do most of the work on stream and have you guys like input as needed. But otherwise, yeah, that was today. It was very simple. It was very straightforward. I think I kind of know what direction I want to go in now. So this actually helped quite a lot to plan everything a little bit ahead of time. But otherwise, yeah, next Wednesday, unless the poll comes out where I change my time earlier, but I'm thinking I might see you next Wednesday. But if you follow me, I will let you guys know on YouTube, and also on my social media if my times for streaming do change. So yeah, otherwise, happy August, everyone! I will see you at the next stream, and if you want to keep up to date, just, you know, follow me on my socials, and I will see you at the next stream for more Halloween crafting. Have a good Wednesday! Bye!